Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have you all today at this wonderful event. I'm Ilaria from Linknetic. Right now, you are enjoying the VFX breakdown by Dneg, one of the world's leading visual effects and animation studios, where our guest Francesco Dell'Anna contributes to creating magic every single day as a compositing supervisor. A few minutes to let everyone take their seat. During the presentation, you can write down your questions for Francesco in the below Q&A spot. After the presentation, we will answer those questions. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me? I hope so. My name is Mira from Linknetic. I'm one of the co-founder and outreach manager for Linknetic. First of all, thanks so much for everyone for joining us today. We have an incredible numbers of people joining us from all around the world. Today, we have a special guest, Francesco Dell'Anna. We've been in talk with him for quite some time to organize this webinar, and we understand him being very busy with his job. So again, thanks so much for him to being with us today. As you might know, Linknetic is a business academy specialized in filmmaking, animation, and visual effects, and we are totally online. We offer different educational options to help students fulfill their dreams and to break into the entertainment industry with the basic and professional courses, master courses, furthermore, introductory courses focused on soft skill tools led by experts who are currently active in the international movie industry. For this reason, we offer more and more connection to the networking and companies to the studios. But then now let's talk to our special guest, Francesco Dell'Anna. Maybe, as most of you know, Francesco, he's been in the industry for over 14 years. Oscars, West, BAFTA winners. Francesco and I have met about 10 years ago while working on a project in Shanghai. And that's how our journey started. And 10 years later, now I have the honor to have him to be our guest for today's webinar. One more time, as a reminder, I'd like to say that for the Q&A section, please have your questions for later, and I'll do my best to pick some of the best questions that Francesco will answer those later. Thanks so much. I'll give the words to Francesco Dell'Anna. Enjoy.
Thank you, Miodrag. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on how to level up as a compositor. My name is Francesco Dell'Anna, and I'm a compositing supervisor at Dneg Vancouver. As Miodrag mentioned, I've been working in computer graphics for over 14 years, starting as a 3D generalist and then continuing my career working as a digital compositor for commercials, TV, and feature films. In today's webinar, I'm going to talk about the fundamental points that you should be taking into consideration if you want to step up as a compositor and take your career to the next level. No matter if your level of experience, if you're a student or a compositor with experience, I hope that you'll find today's webinar useful. So, how do I become a better compositor? How can I grow as an artist? These are questions that we should ask ourselves every so often. I can probably speak for everyone here when I say that we constantly feel the need to improve ourselves, and if we are able to recognize our own flaws and we are willing to do something about them, then we are definitely on the right path to become better. I guess this is valid for everything in life, but let's keep this argument within the bounds of visual effects. The first topic I would like to talk about is ask. It is important to understand that part of the learning process is about sharing knowledge. And if you're lucky enough, like I've been and I still am, to be surrounded by talented people, one of the quickest ways to learn and expand your skills is to learn from others. Be curious. Watch how others might have approached a shot or how they have applied a certain technique and ask how they did that. As simple as it sounds, this is truly the way to learn new stuff quickly and efficiently, regardless of your years of experience. You probably will also compare yourself to some of your coworkers, feeling the necessity to be like them, and in doing that, feeling a sense of disadvantage and imperfection. You might have thought that they're better than you, but let me tell you that whether it is true or not, thinking that way is probably the biggest impediment to growth. You should be gaining knowledge from compositors with more experience than you. They most likely have failed several times, and through those attempts gained experience. So it will be massively beneficial for yourself to learn by their mistakes instead of yourself making them. I should also add that you should not compare yourself to others. You can't possibly know about their learning curves and their experiences. If you really want to compare yourself to someone, but in a constructive way, then do it with yourself. Do you know more than you did yesterday? Ask yourself this question every day. And if you set a plan with gradual improvements that could be measurable, you are definitely moving forward. The next topic I would like to talk about is observe. No matter if it's a show, a commercial, a movie on Netflix or at the cinema, but when I watch something, I constantly look for visual effects and examine the image. You might think that I should rather focus on enjoying the show more, but it's in this way that I also refine my eye and improve attention to detail. I try to notice what are typically called invisible VFX. For example, I don't know, a set extension of a building, half of which has been built on set, but the rest is CG, or a view of a highway full of cars, just with few real ones and the others CG. Those are the visual effects I like to spot more and look for imperfections. I try to understand why they look wrong and how it could have been done differently. Obviously, those type of effects are different from the visible VFX. I don't know, like an alien ship crashing to the ground, or Hulk smashing a car with a punch, where your eye will probably forgive some imperfections since you know they're not real. I must add that a good eye for details is probably one of the most important skills a compositor should develop. Like you should train your eye through photography as well. Like explore with your lens as much as you do with your eyes. The next topic I would like to talk about is research. To this day, I still watch tutorials like I used to watch them 14 years ago. The amount of knowledge you get by watching others' technique is impressive. And you probably know better than me that in compositing, there are multiple ways to achieve a task. And often there is not the right way and the wrong one. There is just the fastest and the most effective for that particular circumstance. What might work fine on one occasion might not be the best approach in another one. And obviously, you get the ability to choose the best technique for a particular circumstance only by studying and constantly finding new material to read or watch and learn, either in a form of a book or video tutorials. Or you can try opening a Nuke script from that your colleague or classmate has been working on and study what they've done it and how they've done it. You need to add areas in your keyword. There are two important books that I'd suggest you to read if you have not done it already. The first one will be from Steve Wright, Digital Compositing for Film and Video, and another one by Ron Brickman, The Art and Science of Digital Compositing. Next topic will be learn how to handle pressure. Pressure, unfortunately, I must say, is a big part of our daily work routine. We are constantly under pressure. And because of that, I think and I believe it's important to learn how to handle it, how to respond and react to it. Let me start by saying that it is normal to feel stressed when you are under pressure. But whether it is a small or a big task, it is essential to break things into smaller steps and decide what is important and what needs to be prioritized. A few examples. You need to present a first pass comp to your supervisor of a shot. This shot is a plate with a green screen and a CG background. And you literally have an afternoon to assemble all of that because of a last minute request of the client. Then spend your time integrating the CG as much as possible into the plate, as opposed to spend the time refining the key, which is something that we all know that it will need to be worked on properly at some point, but at that stage is not important. Excuse me. If you're comping a big full CG shot, for example, and again, you have 1 day to assemble all the passes because you need to present the first version to the supervisor. Then spend your time massaging the lighting passes, identify potential issues that with the lighting department, feeding them back notes that they can in the meantime try to fix. Don't, of course, spend time finding a nice lens flare that can fit the shot. Again, at that stage is not important. However, even after setting priorities, unfortunately, you can probably find yourself in the situation where you need more time than you actually have. Well, if that's the case, don't stress out, set some boundaries. Production will always try to push you to do more in less time. It's their job, really, but they will also help you if you require more time. And you, as a professional figure, need to provide them with the realistic expectation at that point. If you think that something will take you a day to be done, then ask for an extra day. Don't be afraid to ask for more time. I personally like to under-promise and over-deliver. And if there is really no more time, then again, don't stress out. You do what you can within the time you are provided. The next topic will be optimize. In regards to that, I want to say that whether or not you're working under a tight deadline, it is critical that your Nuke script is optimized to the best of your knowledge, and that the script has a fast response to each of your actions. You don't want to be in a situation where most of your time for a comp is spent waiting for the computer to process a certain operation. For this reason, there are several steps you should be following every time you start on a comp, you work in a comp. Like, for instance, pre-comp as much as possible. Leave the B-spline live, but pre-comp every A-spline. Be sure you're not processing unnecessary areas of the frame. Make sure that your bounding box is where it is needed to be, and eliminate from the processing areas that are not needed. Only work with the layers that you need. For instance, if your intent is to blur the RGBA of the CG, for instance, make sure that the channels of the blur is set to RGBA only and not all. Another suggestion would be remove layers that you don't need before merging an A-spline with a B-spline. Unless needed otherwise, when, for instance, merging the CG, layer on top of the plate, create a remove node set to keep only RGBA, because that's the only layer you need. Be organized. You might need to pause your work for any reason, and you need to come back to it after a month, or one of your colleagues needs to take over the shot that you've been working on. Make sure you have a well-organized script. Use backdrops, sticky notes, straight lines, leave space between nodes. Make sure the flow of the script is from top to bottom. The next topic will be plan the comp in your head. Most of my comps happen in my head first. I usually start with planning how I will approach certain aspect of the shot. I try to identify what kind of problems I might encounter, or what kind of techniques I think will work best for the type of work I need to do. If there is a scan, I spend some time just looking at it, going back and forward, identify what could cause me issues or what could simplify me things. Same with a full CG shot. I watch the lighting through a few times and analyze it. Define the route that can give me the least resistance. I don't jump right into it and try to figure things out as I go. Only after these steps, then I open Nuke and comp. This, beside giving a clear picture of all the aspects of the comp, also helps me to evaluate how much time I might need to complete a task and understand if all I'm doing can fit into the deadline, because that's important. As much as we would like to spend all the time we want on a comp, exploring every possible route to make it look perfect, we can't, unfortunately. That is not how we work, you know better than me. In an ideal situation, we will have all the elements we need to work on a shot from the first day and then have months to work on it. That will never happen. And besides that, I'm not even sure that extra time gives better results. That's why I believe that's the reason why I think it's important to plan your work, make it look great while executing it in an efficient manner. We need to fit into deadlines. And of course, the ability to do it grows with your experience, dealing with insane schedules and deadlines that become shorter and shorter project after project. If you are given a certain amount of time to complete a shot, like, don't spend all of it before showing something to your supervisor. Like, assemble as much as you can in the shortest time possible. Even with the most complex shots, this is the way I do it. A first pass with all the elements assembled can provide you with a list of what needs to be done to get the shot to final. It also gives you a general idea on how much time you will need to resolve all the issues you have found. And last but not least, make your work more organized, because you can move forward to the next item on the list once you cross one off. Once you have eliminated the biggest issues from the list, then go ahead and submit your shot for review. There might be still work that yet needs to be done, but at that point, you are showing how you are progressing to the shot, because that's important. Because that will allow you to have time if you get notes and not to go over the time it was allowed to complete the task. The next topic will be problem solving. Being able to identify problems is crucial in our work. And as such, problem solving is an essential skill every compositor should have and develop. It is also an important component of good leadership. It's not something that you learn at school, but rather something you learn through experience. the more you familiarize yourself with the problem solving, the more you are able to anticipate potential issues, and the more you can act in advance to prevent them. Working on a comp, for example, could require a lot of decision making and the problem solving skills. I don't know, a marker going through the hair of the actor, a note from the director asking you for a change that could cause the shot to go back to lighting, or an uneven green screen that could make the key extraction a lot harder than anticipated. There are a lot of scenarios where you need to be able to solve issues. And the more issue you solve, the faster you're going to be in identifying them, and you will be able to plan ahead how to get through them. Solving an issue that could potentially take you an hour in comp instead of waiting for lighting to relaunch the renders and then wait the next day to pick the new renders to recomp them, then it's definitely something production will appreciate. They know they can count on you. You probably have heard the sentence already, fix it in comp. Well, it exists for a reason. The next topic will be add your own ideas and input. In regards to that, I want to say that trust yourself. Your ideas and input are much more valuable than you might think. Almost every element that is going to be comped in a shot is being most likely predetermined, but that should not stop you from adding your own creativity. You, for instance, have ideas on how adding an element can make the shot much more interesting. It can add depth to the shot. Or adding a bit of 2D camera shake can make the shot much more dynamic. Others will appreciate your inputs and respect it. Share your inputs every time you can. And the more you do that, the more you'll see that people will ask for your point of view and ideas. There are many compositors that will comp the shot exactly as it was planned, but only a few will increase the potential of it by adding their own artistry. Well, there is nothing wrong with comping the shot exactly the way it was planned, don't get me wrong. But if many of the compositors are able to do that, there are only a few that can bring the shot to a whole new level by simply supplementing it with their vision. At the same time though, be open to others' idea. You'll be able to make better planned decisions also when you allow others to give you their feedback. The last topic I would like to talk about is be your own biggest critic. It should not be disruptive, but criticizing your own work is definitely an important step if you are aiming to grow as an artist. When I talk about criticizing, I don't mean it in a negative way. It should be intended as a constructive way of being able to analyze your work, identify what works and what doesn't, and then apply adjustment to what you think will be improved. And of course, the ability to judge your work becomes easier and easier as you get more experience. Developing a keen eye that lets you identify what's not working in an image before the others do will set your work to higher standards. With time, you will be able to easily judge yourself if something in the comp needs to be improved. And let me tell you that most of the time, if a certain aspect of the image is bothering you, it's very likely that someone else will be affected in the same way. It can take time as everyone goes through different learning curves, but you'll notice that as you get more experience, judging your work becomes easier and easier and more accurate. Well, that wraps it, and I hope you find this interesting. I hope that this point we have just talked about will help you grow as an artist and level up as a compositor, and that might thoughts on these subjects will inspire you to reach for greater heights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesco. The topics you covered let us understand the right mindset and approach for a compositor. We always thought that one of the most valuable elements in the learning process comes from the point of view and the experience of an active pro. That's why you also designed an incredible course for Linknetic, right? Become a Wizard. What's the extraordinary about this course? Well, in an 8-week program, you'll get the confidence and the skills to actually level up your career. Each module will get you through a different topic, which teaches you how to manipulate confidently a full CG shot. The value of this course lies, first of all, within the guide from an awarded and experienced artist like Francesco, and the importance to understand and master professionally your workflow with a correct problem sets and using industry standard techniques. Check out our website, please, for more details, and please don't hesitate. As you can see, there's an early bird promotion ongoing, which will end on March 31st. Go to the course page on our website, Linknetic.net, Become a Wizard, where you'll find the details, modules, features, and tuition and fees. For more information, info@linknetic.net, or push the Apply Now button on the course page to start your application and talk with an advisor. We have, though, limited seats because we want you to have the best experience with the trainer and with your future teammates. So, okay, I think we can jump in this Q&A session because we have a few questions, actually. So, Miodrag.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions.
That's awesome.
I don't know where to start, to be honest. Okay, I'll try to pick some. I mean, all of them are very interesting, to be honest. The first one is from Gabriel. I hope I'm pronouncing the correct way. How much is important one software in particular in the effects industry?
Software.
Well,
Nuke,
you know, we're using effects.
Obviously, I think that knowing the basics and it's definitely more important. Knowing the theory is definitely more important than knowing the software. However, obviously, a company that is gonna try to hire you will also look for years of experience with the software, because if you have the knowledge and you are fast in understanding what approach you want to apply for a certain shot, but then you are slow in applying it because you're not confident with the software, then it is always, obviously an issue. But I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. I'd say that knowledge is first, then the software is second to it. But yeah, I think that I don't believe there are many companies out there that don't use Nuke, at least for compositing at this point. So we as a compositor, I don't think we have many other software to learn.
Fabrizio was asking about 2 books that you mentioned before.
Yes.
And I'm going to repeat them. The first one is The Art and Science of Digital Composting by Ron Brinkman. And the second one is Digital Composting for Film and Video by Steve Wright, just in case. Anyway, we have wrote them down on the chat so you can see those names again for you. Another question is from Backlab. Where are you looking for tutorials? For experienced person like you, I think over 90% of the tutorials are not helpful anymore. As you mentioned, Francesco, during your conversation.
Yes, like it is. I don't think it's true that even with the people with experience, as I mentioned, in compositing, or probably also in other fields, but to do something, there is not just one path. There are multiple ways to achieve that task, and I've surprised myself when I watch tutorial that, oh, I can see now that to get that result, I can also try this way. And also an important source of information is other compositors' websites. That's I believe it's one of the main sources in these days I look for, and there's a lot of information out there. But I believe that even with 20 years of experience, or however many you have, simply watching how a shot that you think is easier, but just watching how people is accompanied will teach you a lot.
Back to actually LinkNative, I would like to say, in terms of tutorials, what we do now with you, Francesco, is, we are creating this amazing masterclass, and that potentially could lead to find a new ways to have tutorials, live session for composing. So to answer that question, I understand, other companies or other online platform have their own way of showing things, but at the same time with you, we are actually doing something different. And I encourage people to eventually, check on linknative.net and to see what we're doing for them with you. Another person is asking global opportunities for visual effects artists, given the situation of the COVID and working from home. Another person is asking, okay, as an artist globally, do you have a opportunity to work around the world, but at the same time, now people are working from home or office. How do you see yourself in this position?
Well, I do work from home, as many of the artists around the world, I think, in this last year. Yes, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, many of us have now moved their working stations at home. But as much as personally, I don't really enjoy working from home, I can see some benefits, but I think it's just a temporary solution, and eventually things will go slightly back to normal, even though I think the pandemic has been showing to the studios and the companies how working from home is possible. And many, probably we're not gonna go back to exactly to how it was. Maybe some changes will
I see one benefit here. I see one benefit here, because one person is asking global opportunities for visual effects artists. Well, if you're working from home, with a distant experience, maybe you can actually work from home, and you can be employed by just any big company around the world, and
That's true. Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because it's hard right now to think about, okay, the visa, okay, I want to go to Europe, maybe I don't have in Canada, maybe you don't have the work permit, maybe you want to go to New Zealand or Australia. It's just hard maybe for some people, whereas now with this situation, you might be able to work from home for that company.
As I mentioned, there are multiple benefits, and I can see how that is opening the working from home is opening many other doors that probably before was not able. There was no possibility to open. So yeah, I can see the benefits. And
great. There's an interesting question here. Have you ever done mistakes in compositing? Oh well, personally, I have a lot. That's how you learn.
I say exactly. I say that mistakes are done on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes,
you don't make mistakes,
definitely.
you don't learn.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe my mistake was to hire you 10 years ago, right?
Probably. like 80% of learning is probably just doing mistakes and then learning by them. It's definitely an important, if you don't do mistakes, then I will start to question if you are really learning, because
Yeah.
mistakes is a big part of learning process.
But one thing, mistakes are not done because you want to do the mistake. It's just because it happens.
Oh yeah, of
It's a
course.
natural evolution. You need to try things. So it's trials, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is working this way. Maybe this is faster. You have option A, B, C. So you just keep trying, and
Oh
why not?
yeah.
Another interesting question is,
1 second. How many times I started a comp, and then you know, like halfway, I say, well, this is not bringing me anywhere. And I think it's also important that at that point you need to realize that it's probably best to scrap all the stuff you've done. You understood already that that way it doesn't work. Then you start from scratch and you recompete in another way. That's that mistake is helping you to understand that applying that technique is not working for the particular shot. I think it's a mistake is a big part of
the journey.
Another question,
of the journey, yeah.
which is, there are some freshers here. I mean, people that literally just started probably doing compositing, and they're asking, okay, if I'm a fresher beginner, and I'd like to go to another country, will I succeed? Maybe will they look at my reel? Will I get the call? But again, like we mentioned before, because of the pandemic, you might be able to work from home. But again, Francesco, I'll let you
What's
answer.
the question?
Essentially,
Sorry.
if you're a beginner and from a certain country, do you have the chance to go to another country for work, even though you are, beginner, like literally just a fresher?
Well,
It's hard though, because
yeah, like so obviously a company that is hiring someone as a certain type of cost, and I'm not quite sure it's possible, because everything is possible in life, but they probably will not invest that much in someone that has just started. And there is always the possibility, but I think it's important to understand that you don't get demotivated if you don't get hired by a company that you are applying for anywhere in the world. It's not like most of the time it's also about timing. If the company in that particular time is looking for artists because they need to hire people for a project, then you have bigger chances, of course, than if you apply in a period that they don't need anyone because they are okay with the core team they have. So
there's
obviously
another reason.
working from home.
Some of the, let's say, if you want to go Canada, or I think even New Zealand, you need to have at least 2 years experience for the work permit.
Yeah, that's true. Those are technicalities that I'm not.
That's something that if you don't have at least 2 years experience, it's hard. I mean, really, it's very hard, because
To
the
get the
government
visa.
thing,
I'm not sure
the
about
work visa. So yeah, even though maybe you're super talented, yeah, it might be tricky.
Possibly.
Another question is, scripting language like TCL or Python, how is that important for a good compositor? And which one do you suggest to start with?
Well, I think that a 360-degree compositor should possess a combination of creative and technical skills. It is essential to have a good eye for details, but also a bit of knowledge of these program languages. Like I think that you don't need to. Personally, I don't think it's all of it. Like if you don't know Python, then don't think that you could be as good as someone that knows it. Like you definitely you probably have other skills, but definitely helps. There are many situations where a simple Python command can save you hours of work. So I'd say that if your intent is to start studying it, then do it.
I have a few more questions here. I mean, it's great that you guys are writing lots of questions. I'm just trying to pick some of the best one. Well, there's a common question here: anxiety in a stressful environment.
Yes.
How do you cope? How do you live with that? When you feel like, oh, tomorrow I need to deliver. How do you personally, go through that situation?
Well, as I mentioned, the important, and I think the basic of the fundamental point of this is that you need to ask yourself, have I done the best I possibly could? And if the answer is yes, then you're okay. If you when you're working on a comp, it's not just about what is right and what is wrong. Even within something that it is right, there is also the component of taste. Your supervisor has probably some taste, or that doesn't necessarily fit with your work. And then presenting your work, even if it's not that has work then require more work. So you just you present your work and you get the feedback, and then you get ideas. So no, okay, I understand what my supervisor likes and what he doesn't, and then work on it. As a anxiety and pressure is really a big part of our work, but I don't think that you need to be overwhelmed by it. We are, after all, we are just humans. It's and yes, it's a very competitive environment, but I think you need to be able to react to it. Don't get overwhelmed. As I mentioned, you say, okay, I have tomorrow that I need to deliver, but I'm not even halfway through it. Then go to production, go to your supervisor and say, hey, sorry, but I don't think I can do this tomorrow. Obviously, don't wait until the last minute to say, hey, I was not able to complete the task. You as you work through the comp, you start to understand, okay, I think that to make this looking good, I need 2 more days. Then go and ask, sorry, I need 2 more days. And then it's going to be production problem to accommodate your request. Obviously, we work under specific timelines. You have 2 days for a certain type of stage 3, first presentation, first stage of the comp, or you have more time for next stages. But you as artist and as a compositor that's building the comp, you know better than anyone else how much time you need. People can your supervisor that has decided that oh, for a first pass I think that 2 days will be enough, might not fully has the clear picture of what's happening in the comp. You as a protagonist, you know better than him, and then at that point you just go and say, hey, sorry, for these things I need more time, because that's where it is.
Yeah, maybe you don't have the right elements. 3D is not coming yet. Or it depends on the situation, whether it's a matte painting extension or a full CG or live action combined with some CG or I agree. It just depends. There's a very technical question here. Do you feel the rules of assist CG color management implemented in Nuke 11 or so has overall made life easier or harder for the pipeline?
Honestly, we have an entire department in Dneg that takes care of that. We don't necessarily, we as artists, we don't we just get feeded what kind of environment they build for us. So I think it has probably created an easier way to set a standards between different companies. So in my
Also
opinion, yes, but
different departments. I mean, make sure that
yeah,
everyone is on the same page.
yeah.
Something about Blade Runner here from Jack. What are the difficulties tasked in Blade Runner? What was the most difficult thing for you as a supervisor?
So Blade Runner, it has been a fascinating project. Like it's been very interesting because it's the first project I've been working on where the DOP was the one that sometimes was approving finaling or unfinaling shots. So most of the time is as you know, the director. But with Roger Deakins, it was there was another level of
expertise. He has an amazing mind.
It is. Yeah. So sometimes we were getting a sort of approval from the director, but then from Denis Villeneuve, but then it was say, okay, I'll leave though the. I just want to hear the feedback of the DOP to make the final decision. So it was
wow.
I was challenging that way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think he was trying to bring his experience as a DOP. Thinking, okay, the lighting. Maybe the director said, "Yeah, I like it artistically. It looks great. It's what I want." But then the DOP might be thinking, "Yeah, it might look real, or maybe something's missing." Just different eyes. Okay. Oh my God, so many questions here. There's one from Jamie. If time is crucial, especially during crunch time, at what point can an artist do artistic exploration for a shot without diverting from a set pipeline?
When you work on a shot, my first approach is to assemble all of it, like A over B under C, like that. After you render the first pass, then you can get a sense of what could be artistically improved, or realize that at that point is not important. Like if you work on a big company and you might have different stages when you're working on a comp. Like, you have probably stage 3 where you assemble all the elements, then present the comp. They work, they don't work. If they don't work, then some departments then might need to go back to their part and improve something. So I don't think it's very crucially important at the beginning. It's definitely something I will start to explore in a later stage, around stage 4, if I may say, if I would say something.
What does it mean stage 4? Because maybe everyone has a different interpretation.
Oh yeah, like it's not anymore. So the first pass will, as we call it stage 3, is just the assemble of the elements, as I mentioned. After that has been presented and everyone agrees that the element of the comp could work, then we proceed to another stage where then you start to, it's then when you start to massaging the passes and inject your own vision, your own artistry. And even under, obviously, the more experience you get, the more you are able to work under tight deadlines, and the more you are able to plan and to plan your work. You say, that you have 10 days to work on a comp, then you can say, okay, in these first 2, I'm gonna I'm gonna assemble as much as I can, show it, get approval of the elements, and then I have the rest of the days to make it better.
I got this very complicated question from Sophie also. It will be great to have a tutorials about the nodes in Nuke and how they actually work together to create the wanted look image. By saying that, I mean that you learn how to be able to build scripts from scratch. And for example, how does a pre-multiply really works, or a shuffle node. With so many custom nodes and templates these days, I've seen many people lack the knowledge to create a script from the very beginning, as they were from start given custom nodes and templates that were never explained. Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead, Mio.
No, I've seen that too. I mean, of course, I used to be a compositor, so I've seen that too, you know, where I will build a template and people just take it and go for it, they start driving, but then they don't even think why you made that. Sometimes they don't even asking question why you made that. So they're not going through the process, okay, why this person came up with this solution, rather than, oh yeah, it works, just change all the inputs, read notes, and just go with the flow. I think it's better to, if you have a template, ask yourself, okay, how they come up with the solution, go to your lead, talk to them, and why not? And by the way, this is a question for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like, even if you're fed with a template, I don't think you should be taking it, okay, I just need to populate the template and press render. I think that it's important to go step by step and really understanding what is happening. Like every time I've been working in companies, in a company that had their own tool set, I was always curious to see what's inside, like even a light wrap, you know, you probably find just yourself with dealing with a node that takes the background and foreground and then applied and gets the magic, wait for the magic to happen. But then what's happening inside? That's where I personally liked to open groups, open Geeksmos, and see what's happening inside. So yeah.
One more question, and this actually came quite often. How you began your journey as a visual effects artist? How do you start? Where do you start?
I started back in Italy, and in Italy we don't have the such big companies like in the rest of the world. Yeah, there are a few, but like in Italy, you need to be, you probably need to start more as a generalist. That's why when I start to work as in visual effects, I was both doing CG and compositing. If I can really think of my journey, of a start of my journey, I'd say that it started at university, where I've done a course of Maya. That's where I start to fall in love with the CG, and then yeah, I just
then all began.
then yeah, I started to continue with that, and at that point I was not still, of course, comping with Nuke. I was not even aware that it will exist such a thing. I
know, right? Because I
with
years ago.
Yeah, it's probably comping with After Effects or something like that. But then yeah, that's how I started.
But I mean, I understand you started in university. What was the trigger? Like some movies, some commercial, anything?
Yeah, I also always was fascinated by visual effects. I remember watching first Terminator, and I was completely amazed by that. As who is doing this type of things? And yeah, Indiana Jones, those type of movie, like they really have created the passion in me for visual effects.
Passionate drive for visual effects. That's right. Again, guys, we have so many questions. I mean, I'd like to answer them all with Francesco, but Oh my God, it's just too many. What we can do is, actually, there's one thing that quite interesting. Maybe in the future we will do a portfolio review with Francesco. This is something we can probably discuss, because I feel like a lot of people are requesting this question right now. That being said, let's back to the fact that, you know, LinkNatic is an online business visual effects academy. With Francesco, we are organizing this master in compositing, how to level up as a compositor. Please check our website for more information. If you have any questions, talk to one of our advisors. We'll be very glad to help you anyhow, at any time. We are a US company based in Delaware. We are actually online, so everything's done online. In the Francesco situation, we are thinking to have a Q&A live questions during his course, as well as, you know, on-demand classes. And it's going to be 8 weeks. And again, for any question you have, just please check the website, and we'll do our best to answer you. We are also on social. We are Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, just anywhere. So you can find us anywhere, and you can follow us.
Absolutely.
That being said, I'll leave the word to Ilaria.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Again.
I was just saying, thank you so much, Francesco, for being with us. It's really a pleasure, and thank you for all your, you know, advices about everything and the magic role of compositor. Sorry, and yeah, see you at the next event. So follow us and on our social media, and stay in touch and keep updated. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great day and great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Francesco.
Bye.
Thank
you, Francesco. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.